Next, we'll have a speech by one of our local Belizean community members, Brother Evans Vernon, and the topic is, what is Ahmadiyya, or what the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is. I would request Brother Evan Vernon to please come.
Assalamu alaikum. I want to welcome each and every one of you here today. Thank you for coming. This is a very historical occasion, and we are so privileged to have you in attendance here today. My speech, as the brother had said, is, what is Ahmadiyya? We are all a part of the planet Earth. We are part of humanity. We have a lot of difficulties, and we have a lot of opportunities as human beings. One of the things that have played a very important and substantial role in human history is religion. All over the world, we've seen man's sentiment for religious beliefs and religious practices, and this is expressed everywhere. We have here in our very country the Mayas. They were here. And now we have the ruins that we can go and look at. We can also have some of their descendants here in one form or another, and we can go to them. But one of the things that we find is that they forget, and they don't have a complete, accurate understanding of their history. They know a lot about what had happened, but from time to time they can't really answer you because there has been what is called a disconnection. Over a long period of time, people tend to become alienated from what it is they believe in. Now we have the Ahmadiyyas. The Ahmadiyya is an organization that was founded in 1889 by His Holiness Ahmad. Let me just get the right name because I'm very... Okay, it was founded in 1898 by His Holiness, the Promised Messiah, and his name is Hizrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, and he came from a village called Kidian. This is in a place in India, the subcontinent. And during this time, there was a lot of different people with all different types of religious ideology in India. You know that India is a place that has lots of different religion, lots of different gods. But in that area, there was Muslims, and they were there. They were practicing their faith there. There was Christians also. There was also the Hindus, and you have other people that were practicing different types of faith in that area. But from time to time, there would be a lot of clashes, a lot of different debates, a lot of different wars, different squabbles, people trying to become leaders. You have, like, for example, in Islam, the imams, and there were some local leaders that would have different agendas, and they would be teaching people all different types of things. At this time, the caliphate in what we call the Muslim caliphate at this time was in a country that is in Asia, and we call it Istanbul. The capital is Istanbul today, Turkey. And basically, that was declining. They were having a lot of problems with all different kind of struggles all over the place. Lots of the imams and the mullahs were fighting and so forth. Other religion was emerging, like, for example, the Baha'i faith, which is presently in Belize. That was on the scene at the time. And so between the Christians and the Muslims and all these different divisions within this religion, we have the Ahmadiyyas coming into being. Now, Mr. Mirza Ghulam Ahmed was there, and he was doing all he can, to be a good Muslim. But people at that time recognized that there was a vacuum, in real spiritual leadership. Because, as I said, the caliphate in Turkey was deteriorating. They had all different types of problems that they were dealing with. And so the people was asking him, if he would be a leader, and he did not accept. He was, waiting for God to send the promised one, and he was just there trying to be a faithful Muslim. But eventually, he decided, that he will pray about the matter and so forth, and God actually told him that he needed to be, whom he wanted him to be. And so we have this question, what is Ahmadiyyat? Ahmadiyyat is the divinely promised revival of Islam prophesied in the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran said, "He it is who sent his messenger with guidance and the religion of truth, that he may make it prevail over every other religion, even though the idolaters may dislike it. He it is who has raised amongst the unlettered people a message from amongst themselves, who recite unto them his signs and purify them, and teaches them the book and wisdom, although they had been before in manifest misguidance." And that is from 64, 3 and 2 of the Holy Quran. So the tradition is Ahmadiyya is looked at by members of the community as the true religion, right? It is a true expression of Islam. Islam had gone through, since its beginning in the 7th century, it has gone through a lot of changes. You had the first successors after the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And then after that, you had different people not agreeing that the successors were legitimate, and so you had a division. Within that division, you have two main groups that emerge. We have the Sunni Muslim, which is the bigger group, and then you have the Shiite Muslims, which is the smaller group. And from those groups, all the other groups splintered, and we have, I think there's a prophecy that said there would be about 73 different major sects in Islam. And from that 73 major sects, there would be a lot of different divisions even in that. The problem that we've had is that Islam is a religion that has to have a leader. And that leader, first in the prophet, and then in the successor of the prophet. So when there is no real acknowledged successor, there's always the possibility for the religion to have the kind of problems. That is something that you are seeing today in the world. So you see from time to time on the news a lot of negative images, a lot of negative information, and you might want to conclude that maybe that is the true nature of Islam, but it is not. And so the Ahmadiyya community is here to give you that distinction between what true Islam is. The difference between what you're seeing on the television and what an Ahmadiyya does in his day-to-day life is like night and day. At night, you go out, and if you don't have a torch or some illumination, you can't see well. But if you go out in the daytime, you can see everything. If you look carefully, if you are observant, you will be able to see everything, And if you fall or you have an accident, it is because you're not giving the due care and attention, that is required, because everything is clear before you. So I just want to read this statement. It says, "The world today presents an ironic spectacle of the highest progress in science and technology, beyond man's wildest dream on the one side, and the rapid deterioration of moral and spiritual value on the other. The rift is widening daily, particularly in the West, and if it is not drastically narrowed, it could bring about universal disaster which might end civilization as we know it today. At the root of the trouble is the utter lack of moral and spiritual leadership amongst the so-called elite of humanity, which have become completely alienated from God. Belief in the communion with God, which is the very essence of spiritual life, has disappeared. There is a failure to recognize that the only way of deliverance is through the establishment of man's relationship with God. And that is exactly what we have. We have a restoration and a reformation of Islam as was expressed across the planet, and especially in the area of India in the 1800s when the promised Messiah came on the scene. And so the thing that we have to be aware of is that even today, you look around and you see all the different forces that are vying to exert influence over the minds and the hearts of mankind. You could see, like, for example, in Belize, we have cable television. You have a lot of choice. In Belize, we have access to the internet. You can go on the internet and you can be exposed to just about anything. We have influence that comes to Belize, like, for example, gang violence. We see a lot of negativeness in the way the young ladies are dressing today and how the young men are excited about the way the young ladies are dressing. A lot of times in Islam, people look at the way a Muslim woman dresses, and they say, well, I don't want to dress like that. I don't want to cover everything. But the point is, even Christianity talks about modesty. And just about every major religion talks about modesty. Of course, there is extremism, but the reality of Islam and the reality of the Ahmadiyya faith is modesty, the middle way. No excess in either directions. Don't be overdressing, don't be underdressing. That's very important, And so when you see the Ahmadiyya women, you will see somebody that is very loyal and faithful to her husband. You will see somebody that is not trying to attract attention to herself. You will see somebody that is a governor of her home, raises her children, with Ahmadiyya principles, which are based on the Quran and the guidance of the promised Messiah and the successors who are the Khalifa, the spiritual head. But one of the things that you must recognize and remember is that the successors to the promised Messiah and the promised Messiah is not bringing anything new. It's the pure, authentic understanding of the Quran. They are bringing that information to you. And so as you see the Ahmadiyya men and so forth, you see men that are trying to live an exemplified life based upon Quranic ideas and principles. So as you see from time to time over the course of this coming year, look and you will see the example of what Ahmadiyya is. And I want to invite you to come to the local mission house and get as much information. Bring your questions. There will be a question and answer session here. So I just want to thank you very much.